Hey guys, it's Jeff from Life from the Front Pew, and I'm getting a late start on today. There was a lot of rain in the area, and there's a lot of raining in the gospel today. But St. Paul responds. He says, here's the thing, guys. You gotta be a cheerful giver, and you gotta understand that God will give you what you need as far as grace to get through any situation. Any difficulty that you have, you just ask him for the grace, more and more grace. And because he's an infinite God, he can give you more and more grace. So if we're ever in a difficulty, we need to do that, according to St. Paul. I love that cheerful giver, though. That's amazing when you think about it. Because often when it's time to give something and we look at what we have, we look at what we don't have. But it's important in our spirituality, especially when we're confronting darkness and the evil one, to look at what we do have. Even the people who talk about the laws of attraction talk about gratitude and the amazing weapon that it can be against any kind of type of doubt that you might have in your dream or your goal or aspiration. So I think that's important. But even more important is what Jesus talks about today in the gospel. If you are going to have the Spirit of God dwell in you, there's a certain thing that you have to have. And many people, it's easy for this to go away, especially when they get involved in public ministry. And that is that quiet one-on-one time with God. And God wants to be your best friend. And that's why he's given you Jesus to fill that role, to be in with your quiet times. But he talks about how if we let that public ministry start to take over the private ministry to yourself, your self-care, then things can get really out of whack really fast, and you become a public relations primarily, and you start to begin to kind of feed off yourself. And if you're not letting anyone else feed you, then when you're proclaiming your message, it's not authentic and it's not genuine, and it doesn't resonate in the heart of your listeners. So it's important that you have those times with God in the secret room. When you live life from the front pew, you have to be completely honest with God. There's a certain manner in which living life, you come against those difficulties that we talked about yesterday. And sometimes you just have to sit down with God and you have to tell him about them, and be very specific when you're telling him about them. If something annoys you, let him know. He wants to know. He wants to go through it. He wants to embrace that cross with you and ask him for the grace, like St. Paul says. It's important that you have this secret relationship with God that no one else enters into. It's just you and him. And those secrets you can tell him and only him. And when you have that, and you're faithful to that time every day to that, then an important part of your growth begins to take place. So it's a mixture, it's a balance. But when you have that secret room, then you really begin to understand how God's Spirit can dwell within you. And that's an important part of living life from the front pew. So if you run against someone who's running against these battles that I've been talking about, please share with them this message of the secret room, because it is so important. Because sometimes we get so involved in giving that we forget to receive. And sometimes we get so involved in the blessings that we forget we still got to be honest with God. So, you guys have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow. But always remember to turn your spiritual life up another notch by living life from the front pew. God love you.